Hey folks, it's time for the secret sauce, and today we have something that's really essential, and that's why I call it essential embroidery, fonts, and personalization. There really isn't anything much more essential than personalization. Name drops for embroidery. It's the classic thing that we think about when we think about stitches. The patch over the pocket. It's the classic, basic kind of thing. And personalization has always been a chief selling point for embroidery. If you serve any population that inherently includes custom designs, whether it's promotional products, uniforms, or team sales, you're absolutely going to need to add text to existing logos and create custom name sets. Your first foray into any embroidery software should really revolve around lettering and composing designs with text. So here's what you should look for when you're selecting lettering software and embroidery fonts. First thing, I want to give you a term. Keyboard lettering. If you hear people talk about keyboard lettering, this is kind of an old school term. It comes from those of us who've been around long enough to know something that wasn't keyboard lettering. This is essentially lettering that can be typed. When we want to use standard fonts, keyboard lettering means there's something that we can type instead of the bad old days of using files. So the key to have that quality offering with standard fonts is the ability to build a good set of embroidery fonts that covers customer demands, results in quality embroidery. Like I said, they're going to be referred to as this keyboard lettering by some folks, but really it's about any lettering you can type in text, as opposed to, like I said, those bad old days of dragging in individual letter files. There was a time that that was the case. Unless you're doing extremely decorative monograms or anything that is like that, where it is very custom, very singular, there should be a keyboardable option, a typable option for almost any font you need. The other big thing we should know about fonts is the difference between an object-based font and a stitch-based font. Mostly, a lot of software is going to come with object-based fonts, but there really are two types. They come in object-based or native formats and stitch-based formats. Object-based meaning they are based on the drawn objects in digitizing software, whereas stitch-based is made on individual stitch files. The difference really concerns sizing and settings. For object-based lettering, like those included in most software, a typeface will only need one font, as like an embroidery working file, the digitizing file that's made directly by the digitizer in the suite, it can be resized and the software will regenerate stitches and letters based on set densities, stitch types, and angles for each object. Stitch-based fonts, however, can produce quality equal to those object-based fonts, but they're created from individual letter stitch files that are mapped to keyboard inputs. This means you might have several versions of a particular typeface in a stitch-based font, each rendered with specific alterations meant to make them work at one size. These fonts can only be resized by software with stitch processing and are not able to be altered to the degree that object-based fonts are, meaning that settings like stitch type, underlay are often baked into the original files and can't be changed. They can, however, still be useful, especially when they're used at the intended size or when scaled carefully with software that has really well-made density processing. In the end, even scalable native fonts have minimum and maximum recommended sizes, so you're going to want to make sure you have a range of fonts that covers everything from tiny type to large letter jacket names as your customer base demands, as well as stylistic options that make sense for your particular clientele. Also, we should think about program features when we're getting that original lettering software. The lettering software, the most basic, of course, should not include only simple lettering options with the ability to alter native font settings like density, underlay, stitch type, and the like, but should also include basic monogram layouts and the ability to arc, bridge, or otherwise skew text. Nice additions are the ability to envelope or warp text to a specific shape, templating tools like preset baselines, and perhaps the ability to set up embroidery files with team naming tools so that you can automatically arrange and create machine stops for each name in a provided list. The basics are available in almost any lettering software, but the advanced tools may vary from one suite to the next, and how important those advanced tools are really depends on the kind of work you're doing, the kind of clients you serve. In conclusion, however, I've said this in more than one serving of the secret sauce, but lettering is the most foundational form of embroidery customization. And for simple, non-custom name drops and personalization, it's ridiculous for you to be waiting for back and forth process at any price. You need to learn enough about density, underlay, stitch types, and scaling to, at the very least, make competent use of lettering software. Not only will it serve you directly, but it's the gateway to understanding all of these kind of open secrets about how embroidery and how stitches work. And that, folks, is my secret sauce.